Hey there, I'm Katie Cowan, and this is the Creative Being Podcast, full of fun and honest conversations with creative people to inspire. For episode 53, my guest is the filmmaker, blogger, and podcaster Monique Henry-Hudson. Currently based in Queens, New York, where she's lived all her life, Monique's creative path to animation and storytelling began after a school trip to the Museum of Moving Image. Here, she was inspired to one day make her own cartoons, and later went on to study at New York's School of Visual Arts. But on graduation, Monique says she struggled to find the right opportunities, working in production management instead. It was during a stint at Blue Sky Studios, where she worked closely with story artists, directors, producers and writers on films such as Ice Age Collision Course and Spies in Disguise, that she found her true calling. Even her name in lights on those production credits. A dream come true, no doubt. Since Monique's time at Blue Sky, she's gone on to create a travelling animation panel series, Diverse Toons, with friend Jade Seabury, to highlight the importance of diversity in the animation industry. And she's behind her own podcast, Simply Robotics, to help share some wisdom and insight into the world of animation. Today, Monique is working for Netflix Animation. Season 2 is kindly sponsored by Shillington, the original graphic design bootcamp with 6 campuses around the world, along with its online course. We'll be meeting one of Shillington's teachers later in the show to get some career advice. Meanwhile, here's my chat with Monique. Thank you so much, Monique, for coming on the Creative Being Podcast. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me. I'm good. I'm excited. This has been like a long time in the making.
Yes.
And I love podcasting. So anytime I get to be on somebody else's show, it's always good. Absolutely.
Yeah. Fellow podcaster over in Brooklyn at the moment, aren't you? Is that right?
Well, I'm in Queens. So close.
Close. Very close. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you grew up in Queens.
Yes, I still live in the same neighborhood, essentially, that I was born in.
Amazing.
So hopefully that will be changing soon. I need to spread my wings. But yeah, I'm one of the people, like I live like in the same building, too, like I grew up in. So There's people that also sometimes they can't identify me unless I'm with my mother. But, you know, they're just like, I've seen you grow up. And I'm like, yeah, everybody in this building has seen me grow up.
Oh, that's really nice, though. It must feel, you know, like a real community if you know everybody. I bet it wasn't nice when you were a teenager, unless you were good, unlike me. And when you were trying to sneak back in, and people would say, oh, we saw Monique earlier. She was trying to sneak back in at 2 a.m.
Yeah, that used to be a concern, definitely. Like, yeah, as a teenager. But it was also pretty fun because a lot of us grew up together in the community, too. But now enough of those people have moved away. So it's like, it's a little lonely.
Oh, yeah, it's cities, isn't it? People kind of move on and it can be quite transient. But I heard somewhere that Queens is like basically the whole of the world in one tiny place.
Yes. Like I'm fortunate in my particular neighborhood. It's more of the suburbs part of Queens, but it's like walking in like a 15-minute radius walk. You can get Dominican food, Puerto Rican food, Chinese food, Japanese food, Italian food, like West Indian food. And then we have our different Korean markets and stuff like that. So, and then there's junk food within that, but I don't have to essentially leave my neighborhood to get anything if I don't want to.
That's incredible. It's so nice having that like walkable experience. And do you have like a favorite that you go to? It's like comfort food night. You're going to go and grab some food.
Probably the pizza. It has been voted by Rachel Ray, like the best pizza in New York City. And of course, every borough says that, you know, they got the best pizza. Yeah. But that when I go get pizza from this place, it just brings me back to my childhood. Like they used to get pizza from there for like school. You know, if you win like whatever, you read the most books, your class gets a pizza party from here. And like after school on Fridays, we used to get pizza with my cousins and stuff like that. Slumber parties, we used to get pizza from here. So that's tied to so much nostalgia.
Yeah, definitely. It's the comfort food that we all reach for, I think. And What has to be on that pizza? I mean, you're getting me hungry now because it's 5 o'clock here.
Oh, right. No, my pizza slices are very boring. I'm like a pepperoni person and that's it.
Okay,
but I also indulge in like meat lovers. And then I've grown to appreciate like veggie and margarita pizzas as well.
Right. Okay. But the controversial question is, Monique, would you ever have ham and pineapple?
I think I've had it before, because I don't mind experimenting, but like it needs to be from a trusted pizzeria,
right? Yeah. If you're going to go off the record, if it's going to like go into danger zone of exploration.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I didn't know that about New York, that people were like really proud of their kind of, little neighborhoods. And is it quite...
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. And is it quite competitive then?
Yes. That's why I said I'm from Queens, because Brooklyn people are very proud. And so are people from every borough. But it's like, I want to make it clear that I'm from Queens and that's like why I'm amazing. But yeah, amazing people come from, Brooklyn, Bronx, Manhattan, Staten Island. I don't know personally people from Staten Island, but still, I know they have to be good people somewhere over there.
So how did you in Queens come to find a love for animation? Was it because of the films you saw when you were a kid? Was there something that happened?
Yeah, so it was really a school trip in junior high. I was in a gifted junior high school. So in 6th grade, they like made us choose kind of like what you want to be, which is wild for like, I don't know how old you are in 6th grade, like 10 or 11.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be a musician. So I was like, cool. And then 7th grade, I wanted to be a doctor. So I went to the doctor medical program. And then they showed us like a childbirth video. And I was like, absolutely not. I was like, change my mind. So in 8th grade, I went into the art program because I was always good at art. And through that program, we went on a class trip to the Museum of Moving Image, which is in Queens. It's near the Kaufman Studios. So if you're a New Yorker person or you're really into film, you may be familiar with that. And in this museum, they had a stop motion station. So it was a table where you had like puzzle pieces, like children toys, and you made like, I don't know, like a 30-second stop motion thing. So at this point, like Toy Story had been out. I'm like a typical 90s Disney kid. And I'm like, I think this is it. Like there's computers, we're doing stuff. And I just made like a cartoon and I came home from school. I was like, this is what I want to do. So I was very fortunate to have parents, really, specifically my mother, that pushed me into more art programs in high school. So I did like after school, Saturday, summer art programs all throughout high school. I went to like an art high school and then it was like all history from there.
Amazing. And you ended up actually going to Visual Arts, School of Visual Arts in New York.
Yes, that was because my mom, due to financial reasons, in one aspect, she was like, you cannot go to school outside New York. So first it was like, you can't leave the East Coast. And then she was like, no, now New York. So find the best school or the school that you think is going to be the best fit for you to do what you want to do, but here. So yeah, at first it was, I was looking at some schools in Florida and in Georgia, but SVA had the best 3D animation program, which is what I wanted to specify in at the time.
Very lucky that it was just on your doorstep.
Yeah. Sometimes I wish I did like dorm though, because I stayed at home even with it being so close. I'm like, maybe I could have done 1 semester or a year dorming just for that experience. But I don't regret the overall experience at all.
I suppose you know your city very well, so you would have had a completely different experience to somebody coming from elsewhere, and
absolutely
vice versa. So actually it worked out okay, because then you sort of left, but you didn't really sort of become an animator per se. You actually went down a different route slightly.
Yeah. So my life like after college was just a whirlwind. Coming up to like my junior year in college, I was starting to question essentially if I really wanted to be an animator. I took a motion capture class and that really like expanded my mind because my instructors were from Curious Pictures, which has closed down by now. Are you familiar with?
No.
Oh, you nodded. So I was like, do you know them?
No, I don't know.
Oh, so Curious Pictures was one of the studios that did like the whole Dance Central, Rock Band, Garage Band stuff at that time.
Right.
So I got to go to the studio and see people dress up in motion capture suits, and we got to dress up. And I was like, I think I actually want to do this instead of just like the whole Pixar, DreamWorks stuff.
Yeah.
And then as I was wrapping up my senior project, the studio was closing, and other motion capture studios in New York were also shutting down. So I was like, well, I don't know where I'm supposed to work now, because I was shifting my focus to being better at that and being hired in one of those places and not being like a typical 3D animator or 3D generalist. So I was looking for work for out of college, and I was getting a little bit of freelancing, but it was clear to me that I wasn't as strong of an animator as I needed to be to like sustain it.
Right.
And also just coming out of such an intense 4 years of art school, I really didn't want to buckle down and become better like over that summer. Just full transparency. I was like partying, I'm graduating, like blah, blah, blah.
Well,
New
you
York
need
City's
a break.
mine. Yeah. But then the fall came and I'm like, okay, well, my friends are getting jobs and like, I don't know what I'm doing with myself or whatever. So I did a whole bunch of odd jobs. I worked Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week a couple times. I did like some art festivals. I worked retail. I did some sort of, I don't know, job where I was like pulling off labels of like salad dressing bottles and pulling new labels on it. Like I was just doing so much random stuff. Right. And then thankfully, SVA has always assisted me post-college, and they allowed me to work in as an office administrative position. And then I heard that Blue Sky Studios was coming to do a recruiting event at the school. And they were like, oh, well, you should go. And I was like, I don't know. They're looking for like TDs, which is technical directors. It's people who do more sort of like programming, IT people for 3D software and what have you in the studios. And I was like, yeah, well, they're not looking for someone like me. But then I was like, maybe I should just go anyway.
Yeah.
So I made a really fancy resume or like a competitive resume, I should say, in terms of visual presentation. Mm-hmm. And I went and I was like, I know you're not looking for production assistants, but I really want to work for you all. So like, here's my resume. And then within like 4 to 6 weeks, I got a call back that they had a temporary production assistant position open for Ice Age 5, Ice Age Collision Course. And then that's when my career finally got started, which was like 4 years after graduating college.
Good grief. Because it's often just that kind of little step on the ladder, isn't it? And just taking a chance and grabbing any opportunity, even if it's not quite perfect on paper, you can just go and meet people and say, hey, I'm keen, I'm eager, here's my CV. And it can often come off, can't it?
Yeah. And one thing I'm definitely left out of that story is I've always been a person that's like, I say this all the time, people, I hope your listeners, they take this, if nothing else, away, that it's not solely about who you know, but who knows you. Mm-hmm. So I make a big effort of connecting with people, even though I'm an introverted person, which I understand is hard to believe. It's like, I want people to know like the person behind like the username on Twitter and Instagram, and back then it was like Tumblr and DeviantArt and stuff like that. So I would show up to film festivals and screenings like that. When they had networking and mixer events, my goal would just be to talk to one person, because talking to more people in one night would overwhelm me. But like, I could feel good knowing like, okay, well, I just spoke to one person, and that, if an opportunity comes up, it's so important to have people think of you being the person for the job. It doesn't matter so much if you know people that work at a company if they're not going to recommend you for opportunities, It's a
great tip, actually, because I'm an introvert as well, and I get exhausted if I do too much social stuff. So, what a great tip. Just go to a networking event, even though you find the things probably a little bit intimidating and very much draining of energy. Just go up to one person and make that, okay, that was good enough. That was brilliant. And you just never know.
An easy question to ask is just like, oh, how'd you hear about this? And you don't have to do any talking.
Exactly. Just open-ended question that somebody else can run away with, and that's the key as well. If you want to charm anyone, let them do the talking.
Mm-hmm. So I would make it like a little bit of a game in that way. And then I don't have to stay the whole time, I can just, whatever, have the experience and feel okay about it. So
Sure. And you grew up with social media, and so you kind of, that was a very sort of natural thing to you that I suppose you then used to market yourself, and in ways that maybe my generation didn't really have access to. So you had all these kind of tools online, and a great way to kind of further yourself, particularly when there's like so much competition out there, and it can get quite tough as a graduate.
Yeah. A lot of people forget, and regardless of generation, that like to be social on social media, they're just throwing stuff out there into the void all the time. And then we'll be like, well, no one's supporting my stuff. No one's liking my things, retweeting, resharing. And it's like, but you don't engage with those same people that you want to engage with you. Like, it's a two-way thing.
Definitely.
So I, like I say, try to add comments to people's stuff. And I'm not in the spammy way at all, but like, oh, this is really nice. And maybe something unique. Like, I like your color treatment, the way you handle this or something. And that will stick in people's brain. Totally. And then that could open the door to nurturing an actual, like, digital, whatever interaction. And who knows what could come from that.
Exactly. And then, so going back to Blue Sky Studios, where that was your sort of first role, what did you actually do there? What was the kind of role?
Yeah, I started off with a render production assistant position, and I think that was supposed to be like 6 months. I was only in the role for like 2 to 3 months. And that is the end of the production pipeline. So this is like the movie is almost ready to be locked and basically sent out for, I don't know, sound mixing and stuff like that. Sure. But I'm the production assistant taking notes when they're saying like, oh, the motion blur in this frame, this one frame, out of hundreds and thousands of frames is like off. Or like, let's say they decide a character is wearing a necklace, but they don't want the character to wear the necklace anymore. So they have to make sure they're calling out all the frames and like doing quality checks, making sure this character is no longer wearing like a necklace.
Wow.
So those were long meetings, lots of notes I had to take, but it was just that final stretch of like quality check, if you will, before the movie goes out the door to get the sound mixing and all that. And then thankfully my coordinator in that department, she was a supervisor. I shouldn't say that. She was a supervisor. She was just like, yeah, well, this is a temporary position. So if you want to stay, you need to apply for other PA positions in other departments. And I was like, but I love this department and I just got here. I don't want to leave. But she's like, yeah, but if you want to stay in the studio, like you have to. So I applied and to some other positions, and I ended up landing a PA in the story department. And I thought that it wouldn't have been a good fit for me because I still wanted to be closer to the animation department and the animation process. So if I was in the animation department, that would have been good. There's a department for crowds that handles just all those simulations, just like anything else more technical. But being in story is a part of the pre-production. And for those of you that don't know, story is the first department that images the script. So they're drawing thumbnails or they're drawing like, sketches. They're the ones that's kind of first deciding what the film is going to look like before it moves on. And that just really opened my mind to like, I think actually I want to be more in pre-production because I'm liking hearing the feedback of how, well, when the script was, words on paper, it seemed like it made sense. But now that we're adding characters, camera angles, and like movement to it, the script is not working. Things have to be changed. And we're also starting to see some plot holes because like, if a character is supposed to be over here and someone's passing and doesn't see them, but when they come back, they also doesn't see the character, and that's not going to make any sense. Like, we're starting to figure all these things out. And I liked hearing a lot of the script feedback. And I was like, wow, if I was in the animation department or anywhere else, I just wouldn't hear this.
Yeah. You wouldn't, and you wouldn't get that varied kind of experience, which, no matter where you go now in your career, Monique, you have that's on your CV. Because I guess, people coming out of university or school now hoping to be an animator, they say very fixedly, very doggedly, I want to be an animator. But until you really get into the industry, you don't really realize how many different roles there are. And,
yes.
and you have to sort of throw yourself in there, don't you, before you figure it out.
what's cool about story too is just that it's ever changing. Like, I don't know how much I can say, but just in terms of characters, why they would have maybe a character has two parents, then the character goes on and has one parent, and then they say, no, we should have the other parent. And you're digging up storyboards from 5 years ago or 3 years ago before you even got to the studio. But then you're seeing that, no, these changes actually makes more sense for the betterment of the entire story, you know? So that's been pretty cool.
Well, these things go on for years, don't they? And they involve hundreds and hundreds of people. You've got an IMDb page now, Monique. You're on the cast and crew of various very huge feature films.
Yes, thank you.
How does that feel?
It's exciting. It was that year that I started working at Blue Sky. I remember someone was asking me like, oh, well, what do you want for Christmas? And I was like, it's actually something like you cannot get me. Like, I just want to see my name in movie credits, you know? And then that summer, it was Ice Age 5 was in theaters. And I was like, there's my name.
Oh, my goodness.
You know? And it was so good.
That's incredible. When I was a kid, all I wanted was my name on a newspaper article, and that was it, you know. And then when that happened, it's like, yay!
Yeah. It's like I took pictures and everything. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. What did your mum think?
Oh, she was so proud. I was just so grateful because while in college, I actually lost my father.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was just so emotional. And my mom also migrated. She's not American. So to just be able to have this accomplishment, college in itself was an accomplishment, but us seeing it like from being a child, like, look, like Monique's doing it type of thing. It was just so like unbelievable and surreal. And she's still very proud of me.
Of course she is. Wow. Well, I didn't know that. You mentioned your mum before, so that's why I never mentioned your dad. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm really sorry about that. So when you were growing up, did you have a favorite animated movie?
So not just one in particular. It was like a trifecta, but there's just so much. I also categorize my favorite animated stuff. So in terms of movies, I was huge on Pocahontas, The Little Mermaid, and Beauty and the Beast. And they all have their like, you know, yearning to be somewhere else and whatever stuff in those movies. But then on the flip side, I was also super obsessed with the Ninja Turtles.
Yes. And finally.
Yeah. I mean, those movies are whatever they are, but they have a place in my heart.
Same.
And I'm grateful that like, at least my mom wasn't so fixated on girls could only have these kind of toys. Pink. So I was able to get Ninja Turtle toys, and that was like great for me.
Did you get all four? Did you get, you know, because I did.
I have the weapons. So my mom went and got me like the nunchucks and the swords and stuff. And like, you couldn't tell me anything.
Brilliant.
And then in terms of TV shows, I was super into Winnie the Pooh and Rugrats as a young child.
Yes, they were special, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a younger brother by about 7 years, so he's still around, sorry. He's getting married actually next month. Good grief. He's all grown up. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so when we used to come home from school or myself college, he would always be watching these programs, and Rugrats was one of his favorite, and that was just fantastic.
Yeah, I feel not too happy about the reboot. But
I've
it's
not seen
for
it.
me. It's. I think it's coming out on Paramount Plus. Yes. But you can see a trailer on YouTube now. Oh,
that's great. Fantastic. I mean, I have been listening to a couple of your podcast episodes, and for the purpose of our listeners, it's Simply Robotics.
Yes.
It's all about the animation industry, and you often provide reviews on there of various films, movies that have come out, which I loved. I was listening actually to your review of I've forgotten the name of it now. It's the two kind of fairies that go on an adventure. Oh, what was it called?
The two fairies?
Yes, the two teenage boys who go on
Onward.
Onward, yes. Good grief. Gosh, it's been a long day.
Yeah.
And I was listening to that and chuckling because I thought, yeah, you know, I was also reluctant to watch that movie because it felt like it might be the usual kind of Disney, you know, here's a sort of one tiny moral of the story and everybody's happy and happy ever after type thing.
Yeah.
Kind of a little bit cliched. And in hindsight, looking back at the movies that we grew up with, it was a lot of that, wasn't it? And
yes. Yeah. So we're just older now, so we can call things out or identify things a lot easier. We have the vocabulary. But now I just feel like because we are older and, you know, everyone has kind of grown up or been exposed to similar things, like we should just be pushing storytelling more.
We so should. And, you know, that's why I was really encouraged this year when I watched Disney's Soul, because I thought, goodness me, that is really pushing their boundaries, really, Disney. I mean,
yes.
Nobody broke out into song. I don't think, did they?
No, there's music, but it's not a musical.
No. And also the characters to me felt hugely more complex.
Yes.
And real and not like perfect. And so for that reason, I really loved it. And of course, the diversity.
Yeah. And then it's kind of interesting just comparing those two films, because essentially didn't they come out like the same year, at the top and the end of the year?
I think so, yes.
So I would encourage, well, I have some friends that enjoyed my Onward episode, and I would also encourage people, if they want to hear me actually like not completely fangirl over something, like that's a pretty honest thing. And that's the episode that got some of my friends who are like not into animation like that into my podcast.
Yes.
Because they're like, yeah, you make it digestible. It's not like something that's over my head. And they're like, I just never heard you talk like negatively about something, but I'm not bashing the film itself. Like, you know, it's just that like, I don't think I'd ever watch it again. And here's why, you know?
We're taking a little break to get some creative advice from our sponsor, Shillington, the original graphic design bootcamp. This time, we hear from Kathy Sisson, a teacher based at Shillington's New York campus. Originally from Melbourne, Kathy is a designer, art director and calligrapher, also known as Kayashi. I asked Kathy, what advice would you give to graphic designers just starting out?
My advice is just to sort of just really deep dive into it. I think sometimes when you're a new designer, and especially when you've come straight out of school, I know for me personally, there was this expectation of I have to know everything and I have to do everything right. And I think what's great is coming fresh out of design school or wherever you studied is really to allow mistakes, to sort of navigate a little bit blindly, just so you can see where you're at. But you need to start. You need to start somewhere. And I always tell my students, just deep dive into opportunities, be open to yes, make yourself available. And, you know, the mistakes is going to come whether you resist it or not. But yeah, I really just, you know, be an open book, because you can't really get anywhere or start your career without doing that sort of first step forward.
To find out more about studying graphic design at one of Shillington's 6 campuses around the world or via its online course, visit shillingtoneducation.com. Now, back to Monique. I think things can go over our heads, like you say. We can just sort of sit there and be very passive when watching things. But I think over the last sort of year and a half, we're really starting to scrutinize them now. I think we're demanding more from the people that are producing these things.
Absolutely.
Which is wonderful.
Yeah. And I think you should listen to my Soul episode as well, because I acknowledge the fact that we are making some steps to progress forward. But I do share a lot of history and information within that episode as well, just about the diverse representation of these subgroups of people and characters that we're trying to portray as well.
And so just for the purpose of this podcast, what was your sort of overall feeling of Soul?
Yeah, so I really liked it. And I saw a lot of, or I understood where people were coming from with feeling or not really liking the fact that even though we saw, now I forget his name, the Soul main character.
Joe Gardner, was
Joe,
it?
yes. So we see Joe on screen for a longer period of time than probably what would have been normal, but he's still voiced by a non-Black person or non-Black male, you know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so there were people who were not pleased with that. Some people went further to say like, oh, well, it's a white woman in a Black man's body. I didn't completely agree with that, but that doesn't mean that I don't understand, you know? But for me with soul, I'm kind of like, okay, I'm kind of over the constant Black people and jazz. Like Black people also are more than jazz music.
Stereotypical, isn't it?
Yeah. But then if you read what Ken Powers read about him, you understand that that's his generation. So that's where he was inserting himself and his experiences too. So that goes back to the generation of the storytelling. A younger writer would not be gravitating to jazz as much. They would probably do like hip hop and like R&B, but then also, you know, Black people occupy a lot of spaces in music. So I'd like to see some of that.
Yeah.
I love soul because Joe's in Queens. So I was like, finally, because it's always Brooklyn and Manhattan and the Bronx. So I was looking at it and I was like, I know what area of Queens that is. And that was really exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think soul is a step in the right direction.
Yes.
Overall.
They didn't get it perfect, did they?
No,
by any stretch.
And I wouldn't expect major studios to get it perfect because I think something that's important to remember is like a lot of they have to round the edges to make it digestible for a wider market. So if you want the nuance, you're going to get that kind of stuff from film festivals. And that's why I think it's important to support film festivals, because that's where you're going to get the lot of stuff that you're picking at the big studios for.
Sure. And then Disney's Raya and the Last Dragon. Have you seen that yet?
No, because I'm not paying extra. So I'm just waiting for it.
Oh, brilliant.
So I'm already subscribed to Disney Plus and they already raised the monthly thing and all that sort of stuff. So
it's expensive.
It adds up. It adds
really
up completely.
Does.
So
I totally get that. Every time I look on Disney, I'm like, is it on yet? Can I watch it yet? No. Next.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm holding my ground. I'm not going to watch it anywhere else by different methods. I'm just going to wait.
Yeah. Fair enough. Well, I think the other thing with the industry is that if they are going to be making films that are way more in the right direction, then the industry that supports it, that make these things, has to be more diverse.
Absolutely.
And you've actually started something with one of your friends, Jade Seabury, Diverse Tunes, which I love. And it's about basically doing just that, highlighting underrepresented voices. Yeah.
And it's been a great experience. And the partnerships and the community that we've cultivated and continue to cultivate has just been kind of so surreal. Like sometimes I can't just believe the things that we're doing, the people that we're able to help. And like I said, just the community of other organizations that also have similar missions to us, that we're able to really like come together and do things for the greater good and the greater community.
You started that in 2018. So I guess you both looked at each other last year, the events of last year in America, which were probably very emotional and traumatic, obviously. I guess you realized then that this thing was even more important than you.
Yeah. That whole last summer of being Black in America essentially was just highly overwhelming. Despite like outside being closed, it just felt like you're being bombarded now through all these digital mediums because people wanted to know what you were thinking and like how you felt all the time. And then, people are also looking to see what you're going to do as being a Black people, a Black organization in these spaces. So we had already had our virtual event series that we were doing and we continued doing that. But it was just so important for me, especially because like I'm the face and the voice of this, to take time for myself mentally, and take breaks. Like I cannot participate in every conversation that people want me to participate in. It took me a while to be okay with that and like put my foot down. But it also felt like we just had to create such a safe space for people to voice their experiences. Because I've been pretty fortunate for the most part, I'd say, that I didn't experience a lot of micro or macro aggressions due to my race or my gender. But to hear the stories of some people, their experiences in the industry was just heartbreaking, So it's like, we have to support each other. We do have to protect each other. And like, how can we help to move forward or help support each other as we're going to be moving forward. Because these studios, they said and they posted things on social media for the moment, but we are really more invested in how are you going to be after 6 months, 9, 12 months, and going forward.
And since then, do you feel like things are changing?
It's baby steps. It's very slow. I've talked with some of my peers who also work in more production management roles in their studios, and they've shared with me just like, there's initiatives that have been, launched, and it's just going to take a while before the public really sees those things. But also it's about like, well, from all of this, from making people scramble to get portfolios and reels together, how many of those people have actually been hired into studios and places, and how many of them have stayed? Because that's a big thing, regardless of like your race. And we know that women and like non-binary people, all those type of groups don't stay in the industry for long. So we want to start seeing those numbers increase and get better.
And have you seen that more people have approached Diverse Tunes as well in the last year? Oh,
absolutely. Yeah. We do Brilliant. Private virtual things for colleges often. We've done, I've done a couple Comic-Cons independently, and we've done WonderCon I think WonderCon is under the San Diego Comic-Con umbrella. And we have a couple more con participation things happening and stuff. So I understand why people reach out to us. It's like, we're already doing the work so they don't have to, but we're still all about like accountability and building and fostering relationships too.
Sure. Yeah. So hopefully with all these things that are happening in the next sort of 10 years, we can start to see that diversity really becoming just normal.
Yeah, I've been telling people it really is going to take about 10 years, because if you think about the people who often win awards for stuff, these are like people that are like up there, no disrespect though, but in age. So it's still going to take us like 20 years to be their age. So, and to grow in the industry professionally and to continue learning things. So it's not something that can happen overnight, just because that's not the way like time and age works. Like it's going to take me still some years before I get to be in the dream positions or whatever that I want to be. But we know that people are actively working towards it.
But, with the generation that is now, you and others are already inspiring children who are sort of looking up to you and realizing that actually they can go down this path and they can be part of something that maybe when they saw in the movies or on television programs or even in the Oscars, they didn't see anybody that looked like them. So perhaps they just didn't think it was a place that they felt welcome. I don't know. Maybe that's part of the issue and that's going to help.
Yeah. Well, what's the big thing with Diverse Tunes is people don't know what they don't know. So like if you just don't have access to someone that's even doing these type of jobs, you have no idea that it could be a possibility for you. So being here in New York, I know in California, a lot of, there's probably privileged access, but enough people can get access to people that work in cartoons and movies. But in New York City, like I've never met someone that worked in a movie or on a movie in school. So we want to help. And by being virtual, we've been able to reach more people for sure, but it's all about like that exposure. So you don't know that, like, let's say you're like a computer whiz or whatever, an IT person, that you can still work on animated movies supporting the software. You don't know that. You can work in the finance department. You could work in legal department, like all those sort of stuff, human resources, they're still needed.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many roles out there. It's just, you don't know when you're a kid. When you're in school, you don't know all the different routes that you could take. So what you're doing is very important. And I hope it's going really well for you. But what did you think of the Oscars this year?
I didn't watch the Oscars. I'm not even sure when they were. I think I wasn't in town, but I heard Soul won. And it seemed, this could just be because I follow like Irish Twitter to a certain extent, but like there was a little bit of upset about Wolfwalkers. And I really liked Wolfwalkers, but I also feel like what were the other contenders besides Soul and Wolfwalkers? I don't know. But most times I just kind of catch up on the Oscars just to know who won the categories I care about.
Yeah.
But this year, I feel like it just came out of nowhere.
Yeah. It's kind of been really surreal, hasn't it? The last 12 months with everything in the pandemic. And
yeah, it's wild to think like we're coming up on the second like virtual like Annecy and Lightbox Expo and stuff like that. And it's wow.
I know. It's crazy. We thought everything was going to be back to normal by now, but yeah, it's still dragging on. But did you hear about the Golden Globes?
I didn't hear about that.
So and the NBC is not going to air it this year.
Oh, yeah, I did see that. And I saw, was it that Tom Cruise like gave back some awards or something?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Yeah. Basically,
so if it's not being aired, it's still going to happen?
I don't know. I haven't caught up since that came out. But it's just really interesting how the industry is like, there's all this shift going on. And it's...
Yeah.
It's disappointing that, here we still are with so many things that are happening, so many issues. But it's also quite exciting to see the shift happening and actually power to the people. They're coming forward and saying, well, actually enough. We demand more. Yeah. We expect more from the people who are creating this content. And that's always inspiring.
Yeah, I'm going to have to read up on the Golden Globes because I don't completely understand, because I think about the Grammys. I watched the Grammys and they did like, I guess, a socially distanced Grammys thing. And I'm like, they could probably do something like that with the Golden Globes, but I'm sure it's deeper than that. So I would check it out.
Cool. So is it true you're now working at Netflix?
This is true.
Oh my goodness. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been there, I guess, like a year and a half now.
Wow.
For over a year. And thanks to good old networking and being a good person to work with, that I was able to have people vouch for me when I applied.
Amazing. I've speaking to somebody else who works at Netflix and they say it's just a brilliant place to work.
Yeah, I don't know if that person got a chance at an in-person experience, but I came on a New York-based production, so I've never been to whatever exists out in California, and my experience is pretty different from that. But what's cool to a certain extent with us having to be all work from home is that it's allowed me to connect with a lot of people internally, which I was struggling to do when we were actually in person because I was on a whole different coast.
Oh, so, right.
Yeah, that's I'm able to meet and talk with other people that are doing similar jobs to me on other productions, and it's pretty nice.
And when the pandemic's over, will you stay in Queens or will you be heading somewhere else?
My production is still going to be New York based.
Right.
So I don't know. We also don't know because Netflix has talked a little bit about like returning to the studio, but that seems to pertain to the Burbank area.
Oh, right.
So we don't know what that means for us and whatever. So
gosh.
That's fine with me. That's fine. I would like a flexible, in office type of ordeal just to switch it up from being home all the time. But
I know. It's nice being around.
Commuting.
Yeah, I don't miss commuting. I don't know. How long does it take to get into...
It's a little more than an hour on a good day.
Oof.
That's not bad compared to other commutes I've had, though, because I live deep out in Queens. But yeah, it was a smooth commute. I was really appreciative of it, but I've just so tired of public transportation in general.
Yeah, I think the you've got a really good system in New York, but that's just a sort of outsider's point of view.
Oh, definitely an outsider would say that. I'm happy that it seems so to outsiders.
Yeah. All right. Well, fair enough. It's quite an interesting system. You always meet some interesting people. Is it very much like the London Underground where you can't look at anyone? You just don't look at anyone.
I prefer not to look at anyone because you just never know what could be started with eye contact,
Oh, gosh.
Like, I've had people serenade me and I was like, I was, I guess, making a weird face and then they got upset and I was just like, what is happening here?
Oh,
so I try not to look at people. But yeah, I've been I've been taking the subway like by myself since I was like 14. Right. So it's been like half my life and I'm like over it. I've seen almost everything. Thank goodness, not everything.
So. You're wise enough to know you don't look at anyone. Don't engage.
I prefer not to look at anyone. For anybody that's listening, when you come to New York in the summer, if the train car is empty, that's because there's probably not air conditioning. So pick your battles with that one. In the winter, if the train car is empty, it probably smells. So
that's a really good tip for any outsiders.
Yes. You don't trust an empty train car.
What other tips do you have for anybody that's hoping to visit Queens or come to sort of your neck of the woods?
Well, my neck of the woods has nothing, but if you come to Queens, I would definitely say the Museum of Moving Image. Again, that's in like Astoria. That's really cool. What else is in Queens? I think that's just the main thing, because everything that you can get in Queens, you could get in like Manhattan for the most part. So, but they don't have that museum. And that if you're interested in film, like they have The Exorcist, they have like the girl witch, whatever prosthetic in there. They have the prosthetic for the mask, the Jim Carrey mask. Oh no, they don't have the pea soup, but they have her like right before like the robot animatronic thing. The mask that Jim Carrey wore in the movie. They have some Star Wars prosthetics in there.
Cool.
They have.
Why is it there? Why is it specifically there? Who founded it?
Because of the Kaufman Studios. I think it's in partnership. Okay. So the Kaufman Studios is a big like stage where they used to film a lot of stuff. Yeah. So the museum is just right there. They have a Jim Henson exhibit, which opened, I think, the beginning of 2018, or not beginning, but sometime 2017, 18. And that's just really cool. So you can see like the whole history of the Muppets and stuff about, what was it called? Dark Crystal?
Yes.
And some of the bigger things for that.
Oh, I used to have nightmares about the Dark Crystal. Have you seen it?
I don't think so, because it doesn't look like my kind of thing. I get scared easly, so.
Oh, do you? You don't like horrors?
No, not at all. Like, I don't even know how I watch Beetlejuice. Like, I don't know. And Nightmare Before Christmas, I don't know how I manage those shows.
Oh, Beetlejuice is funny, though. That's like a classic cult film over here. I don't know how it's received over there, but...
Oh, yeah, it's a big deal, but it just doesn't make sense that child me actually watched it. I'm like, this is so not what you would watch. Like, and I didn't have nightmares or anything of it, you know? It's weird.
It's so lovely, though, that there's this museum in Queens that sort of basically kicked off your entire career and ended up where you are now, working for one of probably the biggest production houses in the world, creating all this amazing content. And by the looks of things, doing lots of really good, diverse things and really trying to push boundaries. You just must be, are you happy in your career?
Yeah, it's so crazy. I am really satisfied with my job at Netflix, and I am hoping to grow in the company for sure. And a part of like my networking is I'm not really sure like my 10-year goal or 5 years. I think 5 years I got a little grasp on it, but I'm not sure how I want to continue to move up. But there's so much opportunity there. So I want to take my time and talk to people that work in the different avenues and departments and stuff of the bigger studio to see how I have to shift or pivot if I need to. But in terms of the diverse content, like the stuff that's going to come out, unfortunately, in like 2 to 3 years, it's really going to blow everyone's mind. But you just have to be like patient. But there's a lot of diverse, really cool stuff happening, and diverse not only racially, but in terms of like gender as well. It's really cool.
Amazing. And Netflix seems to be kind of employing and bringing on writers and animators and artists from all over the world. I'm just hearing really good things. So that's fantastic. So if anyone is listening to this and they're keen to follow in your footsteps, I mean, what kind of advice would you share?
Well, to be open. It's like I have a thing where I am pretty fixated. I always knew I wanted to work in the industry, the animation industry, but I was pretty open and flexible to how that was really going to happen. So I wasn't afraid to make pivots and start over. Like after leaving Blue Sky, it took me 1.5 years to get at Netflix, and I would have hoped to be a production coordinator, but I had to start over and be like an office assistant type of thing. But then I got promoted with time, you know? So in the down periods and all the odd jobs and the things that you have to do is to still be like flexible while being determined and make time to satisfy your passions, like animation, art making, like just nerding out is always going to be a passion of mine. And that's the way like my platform, if you will, my website has grown and changed over the years, was still just trying to find a different way or a more satisfying way to be engaged with this industry.
It's incredible and it's brilliant. And it just shows that with patience and perseverance and just maybe a little kind of a plan that's brewing, you can really sort of get places and find yourself working for Netflix. Amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's wild. I wouldn't have imagined this at all, that I would be here, you know.
I know. I mean, it's fantastic. And you know, all my hats off to you for just sticking at it and realizing that, you know, actually there is an opportunity in everything, even the most, you know, what might be a boring job. I can say that, you can't say that. But if the most boring role that you find yourself in might not be the thing that you want to do long term, but if you can find the opportunity in that and network and talk to people and learn and be keen to figure out how the whole thing, the whole company works, that is just going to get you places.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. It's
been
so wonderful.
Much. Yeah, this is so exciting. So I can't wait to listen back and blast it and share it with everybody.
Oh, thank you so much for your time. And we'll be very much looking forward to seeing what you do next.
Thank you.
This is the Creative Boom Podcast with your host, Katie Cowan. Thanks again to our sponsor, Shillington, the original graphic design bootcamp where you can study at one of its 6 campuses around the world or via its online course. To find out more, go to shillingtoneducation.com. If you're enjoying the show, don't forget to subscribe or leave us a review. We drop brand new episodes every Monday with a different inspiring creative. You can find all the links and more via creativeboom.com/podcast. See you next time, when my guest will be the illustrator and design writer Greg McIndoe, otherwise known affectionately as Headless Greg.